So hi, hello people, welcome back to my channel Visualize with Vini. And in this video onwards, I'm going to generally cover how to cover each subject or a particular subject. Basically, UPSC made easy through learning. I understood that so many of us have a lot of problem in reading, learning and revising. So in this video, we are going to basically see how should we approach subjects, how should we learn subjects. So in the first part of this exercise, I'm going to talk to you about modern history. So how you can cover modern history in an effective manner and what I did to easily cover modern history or to make myself more effective in modern history preparation. So basically I'm going to share my insights in that. If you feel this particular method is helpful for you, you can follow that. If you feel that this doesn't work for you, you can go for any other method that you choose. But I would like to assure you that this method will definitely help you in memorizing a lot of things that you missed before. Without any further delay, let's get into the video and see how to cover modern history. So before covering any subjects, you have to make sure of one thing, that you cover the previous year question papers of that particular subject. And the second thing is you should choose the source of your preparation. When I mean source, lot of people refer NCERT as well as the standard book. It is advisable to do so. But as a starter, I read NCERT only once. I didn't go further and revise it all over again, because NCERT will give you the basic idea of what it is. If you don't know what the subject really is, you can go for the NCERT, that to a higher grade NCERT. If you're not comfortable with the higher grade, you can move to a lesser grade NCERT and then moving on like that. If you don't understand, it is okay, fine to go until 6th standard and learn the basics and come above. Don't feel ashamed of learning 6th standard NCERT, 7th standard NCERT. At the end of the day, if it helps you, it is good. So don't be afraid of or ashamed of learning the basic books. If you feel that you're not comfortable with 11th standard NCERT, go for 10th standard NCERT. If you feel still not comfortable, go for 9th standard, 8th standard, like that onwards. If you feel comfortable with that, or if you feel comfortable with the history, that I know the subject really well, I have studied it really well in school, you can directly jump onto the source book and get value additions alone from the NCERT. This would be my advice. So I started my preparation by learning the basics from NCERT of modern history, and after that I jumped to Spectrum. So many people refer Bipin Chandra, but I referred Spectrum because I felt that book is more comfortable for me. Bipin Chandra is more of a story like, and Spectrum is also a story like, but many people say that it is perfectly factual, you can't understand anything from Spectrum. But I feel that it is only a myth, because once you understand the link between different events, even Spectrum seems like a story only. I will show you how that is made. So basically, I want you to get two things done: fix your sources and your minimalist sources. You can either read NCERT and Spectrum or NCERT and Bipin Chandra. If you complete these both, you can go with any other sources that you wish. But this is a basic book list for modern history. And after that, previous year question papers are very important. That is your important source that you can never make an alternative of. You don't have any other alternative. You should read previous year question papers, because only then you will know what are the repeated areas of questions that are asked in the question paper. So read repeated areas. This is the third point I want to tell you about. That first of all, when you start reading modern history from this particular book of modern India, please don't go by random selection of first chapter. Don't go in that order. Read the previous year question papers and you will find that it was only after the emergence of Gandhi so much of questions are asked. When you understand that, you will immediately start reading this book from unit 7 or the struggle begins. There is a chapter called the struggle begins. From there, or emergence of INC, you can start it from there, because from there only a lot of questions are asked. From there you will go in an order, and I will teach you how to cover it in a very precise and effective manner within a limited time. So these are the three things that you have to remember. Pick your source correctly, keep your minimalist source, because don't jump from sources. Just because I don't understand a chapter in between from modern India, don't go and say that I'm not getting anything from modern India, so I'll jump to Spectrum I'll jump to Bipin Chandra, because once you do that, what happens, all the time that you spent in this book will go into waste. So before choosing itself, read few pages from Spectrum and read few pages from Bipin Chandra. Pick the source that you feel personally comfortable with and start reading, and don't change your sources in between or jump onto multiple sources. It will take away your time. So in the first step, clear your sources. In the second step, read previous year question papers and keep it ready for modern India or whatever subject you're choosing to learn. And the third step, you will read the repeated areas of the question paper as the first part of your studying process. And the next one I want to tell you is about how to read modern history. Every subject has a unique pattern of learning. Once you start learning in that way, you can easily cover within a limited period of time. So what methodology I learned or through studying the modern history is that I would go read all the topics first, what all are the things basically in modern history, because I was not so much aware of modern history because I am an economics student, and from 11th to college for 5 to 6 years I have been away from modern history, so I didn't know what are the exact contents to be read. So go to the index and read what are the contents in modern history first. For example, I'll give you a framework from Spectrum. So people who are reading Bipin Chandra can go through like this in your Bipin Chandra book. So Unit 1 talks about sources and approaches which is not needed for your examination, and then what are the major approaches to modern India is also needed. So you can start your preparation right from Unit 2. Please skip Unit 1 if you are using Spectrum. That is not used for anybody. It is useful only if you are becoming an historian. Start from Unit 2. Unit 2 talks about the advent of Europeans, or how did British enter India. So this is all about how did British enter India, what are the other European forces there, Portuguese was there, Dutch was there, who came first, how British had wars with different people, and then after defeating every people, British became a superpower in India. It will talk about how British tried to establish the British supremacy over all others, and what are the factors that led to British success and all other European powers defeat. So basically this chapter is after that. And what happened after that, there is a chapter called India on the Eve of British Conquest. So what is happening during the British conquest is in the next chapter. So British did conquest India during that time. So what happened after that is the next chapter. How was the agriculture? How was the economy? What happened to the Mughal rule? It got disintegrated. What was happening throughout India is the next chapter. Go to the next chapter 5. Expansion and consolidation of British power in India. So once British conquest starts in India, right from Calicut, what happened? They started spreading throughout India. How did they do that? They did through policies like doctrine of lapse, be it subsalience. They did through policies, and they also conquered it through wars. They had different wars with the native rulers and also with other powers like French powers, and they did expand their kingdom. So the next part of the syllabus basically deals with that. So they will talk about all the policies through which British expanded their empire, as well as the conquest of Bengal, conquest of Mysore, conquest of Marathas, conquest of Sindh. So how did they occupy different areas? So now British got expanded throughout India. In the next part, what will happen? Throughout India, there will be a resentment because British is a foreign power and they brought so much of unfavorable policies to Indians and the Indian economy. So there is resentment, there is disagreement among Indians over their rule. So people started protesting. So who were the first people to protest? We know that tribals fought. We know that civilians fought over it. So in the next chapter, you will have people's resentment against British in chapter 6. And after that, you go, these small protests got into a huge form through the revolt of 1857, where initially the military started, later supported by all over India. It was a huge protest. So next you have the Great Revolt of 1857. So after 1857, this is where the chapter ends for the first part. See, this is the first part of the chapter. Understand that till this is the first part. Please split the subjects into part 1 and part 2. So this is the first part, and the next thing is what all the social reforms or economic reforms, or what are the reforms that happened during this period. How was the education system, how was the police system, judicial system till 1857 will be given in the next chapters. And after that, if you finish reading that, next comes the struggle begins. So this is where I said you will start your preparation right from this part 1 till what we discussed, you will do only after completing the part 2, which I will discuss now. It is a struggle begins. So how after 1857 these all things were happening. After 1857 failure happened, what happened? In 1880s only INC got emerged, and with that only our independence movement started. Till that many reforms, civilian reforms, so much of things were happening that you will learn in previous chapters. They are petty chapters, but from this it is very important. The struggle begins. How did modern nationalist got up? How the modernist, that is the general people who fought for independence through political reforms, through constitutional reforms, who wrote petitions to the British government to get out of India. So that movement got more enraged into the extremist movement, where people took violence as their hand. And after that came the revolutionary, who didn't only take violence, they were so violent that they started shooting away the people, right? It is not wrong to kill people. That was their ideology. Then revolutionary comes. After revolutionary only, what happens? Emergence of Gandhi comes in the next chapter, where with Gandhi comes the non-violence part of the struggle. So this is how the book goes, like beginning of modern nationalism. After that you have INC's formation, then you have militant nationalism or the extremist phase, then you have the revolutionary phase, then you have the First World War happening after the revolutionary phase, during which Gandhi comes in. You have a chapter called as Emergence of Gandhi, and then when he comes, he brings in many movements like National Cooperation Movement, Khilafat Movement, lot of movements Gandhi will bring in. And after that Nehru participates in many things, and Subhash Chandra Bose comes in. So these all things will go like a story only in spectrum, but I want you to understand the connect between them like this. Learn the index first, understand how the story goes by only reading the index. You are not supposed to read anything, only go through this index. This index will definitely tell you how the modern history goes, and don't get into the book before reading the index. And after reading the index, what will you do? As I said, go from part 2, because more questions are asked from part 2. From the struggle begins, you will learn what happened after INC came. This is the most important part, be it in your mains or as well as your prelims. So you will learn this, and after you read the index, choose this particular subject. After you choose a particular chapter, for example, the struggle begins, you're starting it as the emergence of modern nationalism. First of all, read the index and the sub-index that they have given here. For example, beginning of modern nationalism in India, the sub-index they have given is factors in the growth of modern nationalism, understanding of the colonial interest, political interest, unification of the country, role of press in it, rediscovery of India's past. So just read this so that you will get an idea of what will you read in that chapter. And after you do this, directly go there and read the summary. So it will tell you what is the crux you will be reading. So you will get a fair idea of what you will read, what are the sub indexes you will read under it, and you will get a fair idea of what is it about in the summary, and then go into the chapter and read it, so that you will read it very fast than before. Trust me, you will read it very fast. And after reading it for 2 to 3 times, you can take notes from that particular chapter. If you do in this method, you can really reduce the time of your reading. Otherwise, if you go to a chapter right from the beginning and start reading without knowing what is the beginning, what is the conclusion, or without having any idea of the subject, you will definitely find it hard to understand the storyline, or it will have a very difficulty in your understanding, so that you will take a lot of time. So this is how you can approach modern India in an effective manner. So I hope this video was helpful, and if you want any other insights into any other subjects, you can just comment it below, so that in my next video I'll talk on that subject. And this is how I used to learn, and it really helped me in covering the subjects in a very fast manner. This method only applies to modern India. For every subject it has its own methodology that I have evolved, or that so many people who were studying like me evolved. So you can also share it if you have any particular insight in this particular reading effectively of modern India. So meet you in another video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and recommend to your friends if you find it helpful. Meet you in another video of mine. Until then, it's bye from Vinita.